Welcome to Primetime UGC.
Well, there he goes. Just like Rogue, just whisked away. Maybe someday I'll be lucky enough, or good enough, worthy enough to be called to that wonderful place. That place where all great podcasters go. That Valhalla of voice artists. Maybe someday.
Cap? Hey, Cap. Are we ready to start?
Oh, yeah, right. Sorry.
Are you okay?
Yeah, fine, thanks. Welcome to episode 9 of Primetime UGC. I'm Captain P.F. Dennis, and joining me as new co-host is none other than Castmodian. Those of you in our studio audience, please give him a big hand to welcome him into the Primetime family.
Yeah, Castmodian. We're updated. Cast. Give him hell, Cast. Give him hell.
Thanks for that warm reception, ladies, gentlemen, and non-gendered folks out there. I'm Castmodian, and welcome to Primetime UGC. We've got a great show for you tonight, as always, full of our usual news, bug reports, and featured requests. Not to mention our conversation with Foundry Author Evil 70th.
We also have a Primetime UGC exclusive interview with Al Rivera, lead designer at Star Trek Online, plus a few more surprises. So stay tuned. You may not recognize me, but I hold the record for the longest consecutive win streak in dueling history. Don't feel bad, it happens all the time. When I'm eating at my favorite restaurant or charging goods and services all over the Alpha Quadrant and beyond. Let's face it, there are some malevolent species out there and they just don't trust me. But they do trust this, the Andorian Express card, known throughout the quadrant as a symbol of prestige. It's not just a charge card. It's a status symbol that says, I'm somebody, and it's accepted on planets galaxy-wide. You may not be from my homeworld, but nothing says you've arrived like Andorian Express. Even when my opponents fail to realize what they're in for, it's easy to remind them. I'm Shrek, and I've taken the lives of 16 men, a career that screams excellence, just like my card, Andorian Express. Don't Ushan without it.
And now the news. Dominating news this week would be the release of the Ferengi lockboxes into the game. These lockboxes contain, among other things, a Decorator-class Marauder starship, again, more faction consoles, a gaming device, duty officers, consumable pets, holonovel fragments, and Lobi crystals. These crystals can be taken to vendors in both Federation and Klingon space, and they're redeemed for a Ferengi shuttle, holographic bridge officers, and other items such as outfits. These Lobi crystals, though, are a second point of contention beyond the normal controversy brought about by the existence of a lockbox. These Lobi crystal items are rather steeply priced, and there have been reports that Lobi crystal drops inside of boxes have been relatively low, leading to much spending on currency. Time will tell whether or not this is a success or a failure for the company. Stay tuned. Additionally, we also had the release of the First Contact event since the last broadcast. This event premiered the new map for Utopia Planitia and also provided players who were able to make it to the event a Phoenix pet. It's been teased that there's the possibility of combat ships later released. I wonder if that means perhaps maybe come Federation Day we will see something. Who knows? Also, the map for Utopia Planitia was released into the game as a Foundry asset, but this map is bugged. We will touch on that in a few moments.
It's me again, Crazy Chalaski, and have I got some deals for you. This is my wildest sale ever. You had the best, now try the rest. You don't have to spend bars of your latinum when strips will get you the finest used slaves this side of Regulus. Sure, these babies have a little mileage on them, but one man's trash is another man's treasure, am I right? Yes, I am, because Crazy Chalaski's got deals that are just plain lunacy. I've got green ones, white ones, blue ones. I can't even name all the shapes and styles I'm offering you at absolutely nutty rock-bottom prices. I'm Crazy Chalaski, and if you're in the market for a pre-owned harlot, I've got her in my inventory. Take old Jamunga here. She can cough up a bucket of Dovamite phlegm all day, but it completely clears up by nightfall. That's when you really need her anyway, am I right? Of course I am, and she's just 8 strips. Go ahead and say it. Chalaski is crazy. Look at Valmay. She has absolutely no visible scarring, and she can be coherent for almost 90 minutes at a time. That's plenty if you know what I'm talking about. And this scratch and dead strumpet will only set you back 6 strips. Okay, 5 strips. I must be out of my mind. Of course I am. I'm Crazy Chalaski. Now, Gallus here has only had a single owner. That's right, just one owner. Since he died of some strange alien virus, you can get this sweetie for a song. Literally. Come down and sing to me and she's all yours. Why, you ask? Because I'm Crazy Chalaski. That's right, Crazy Chalaski. And my prices are insane!
Crazy Chalaski is not responsible for any defects or medical anomalies, nor is he liable for any damages after purchase. And remember, all sales are final, no returns accepted.
And now, bugs. One of the things mentioned earlier was that the Utopia Planitia map had been released into the game for the Foundry to use. This map, though, does have a number of issues remaining on it. The large holotank in the center of the main room is displaying every single ship at once and not cycling them like it does on the other map. A number of the doors on the conference rooms also do not open. While it has been stated that these can be fixed, the lead environment artist, Tumor Boy, has already been moved to a new code line and cannot easily make these changes on his machine. He may have the opportunity to get on someone else's machine that's using our current code, but worst case, this means that this map will remain broken for several months at the very least. Also plaguing Foundry authors during this time has been an interesting Foundry bug that came from what appears to be some of the back-end code that was put in for metric's sake. This code has stopped publishing of many new missions and also republishing missions when changes have been made. The information is still available, but the database is not displaying the information. It is our hope that this fix will be going in as for the actual broadcast of this episode. We will see. Additionally, I am still seeing reports of players being unable to purchase Foundry slots. This is a bug that I will hope will be squashed fairly soon and can be a source of great aggravation, as it is a gate to keep new players from creating Foundry missions and a general source of aggravation altogether. And now for a segment I like to refer to as comm signals from around the quadrant. With this segment, I hope to catalog all of the various appearances the devs make throughout the various media outlets that they have access to. Recently, executive producer Dan Stahl made several appearances around the net, giving an interview to an Italian Star Trek magazine, as well as making an appearance on Gates of Stovacore with Starbase UGC's own Ceridium. The community manager, Brandflakes, stopped by Trek News and Views to give an interview with them, and also Stoked has had a 3-part series lately about the DOF system, starting with an interview with Heretic in episode 117, continuing with interviews of Thomas the Cat and more of a guide in episode 118, and concluding with 119 with a more in-depth guide in episode 119. Also featuring an interview with Ian Jams Richards and Jeff Miller, both ship designers. Additionally, around the time of this release, Broadcast UGC will be having an interview and mission playthrough with Zeronius Rex, associate producer for Star Trek Online. Terry Scholl also concluded recently a 4-part interview with Al Rivera and Dan Stahl that was featured on Massively. And also, there was the live Ask Cryptic release that was done around the same time, in which was featured a question provided by myself regarding the roadmap for the Foundry. This question was as follows. Can we have an update on the roadmap for the Foundry, please? The answer from Dan Stahl was, Season 6 will include an updated dialogue editor, many new UI improvements, including a new mission editing functionality, lots of other minor quality of life improvements. As far as tagging, there will be new efforts to add content hookups from Season 5 to Season 6, along with tagging of the new Thalian enemy group. Also in the near term, and possibly shortly after Season 6, we are working on the ability to feature Foundry missions prominently within the episode journal. Longer term, improvements to the Foundry will come post-Neverwinter launch, including new enemy behavior settings, patrols, interior editor, and the ability to pre-populate maps with prefab detail object layouts. I do have more to comment on this shortly when we reach the feature request section.
I'm Crazy Chulaski, and I'm back with Chulaski's Choice. This week's special is a fine maiden named Alamar. She was owned by a Bajoran expatriate who she only rode before temple on Sundays. High mileage? Yes, but well maintained as you can see. Today and today only. Don't let this crazy deal pass you by. I'm asking 4 strips down from 5. That is an amazingly demented deal. Her accessories alone are worth that. How can I do it, you ask? I'll tell you how. I'm crazy! That's right, I'm Crazy Chulaski. So come down and pick her up. Time's running out. Better yet, the first offer of 4 strips gets free delivery. Did you hear me? Free. It's insanity, I tell you. Severe mental disorder the likes of which cannot be measured with any known technology. Because I'm Crazy Chulaski and my prices are insane.
And now, feature requests. One item that's been asked for is the release of the Alpha map, the new Klingon mission that came in recently, for use in the Foundry. Both the space and ground map of this mission have a large gas giant visible in the near distance, and it creates an absolutely stunning effect. I can only hope that we get this map released to us, or at the very most, we can hope that they release the ability to create maps such as this. Additionally, another request that's been made is for EVA suits and environments to use them in. This would be a wonderful boon to Foundry creators, as one thing that I've always wanted was to be able to create an environment that was hazardous to the players and to challenge them in order to overcome it. Having an environment that is hard vacuum, for example, would be something that we could only dream of being able to use, such as creating a scene that was in First Contact. And this leads me partly into a personal rant for things we want. Earlier I talked about how Dan Stahl had answered a question I had about the Foundry roadmap. While he partly answered someone I was looking for, he didn't actually touch on any of the items that were released before Season 5. There have been items that have been promised us many, many months ago, such as the TOS interiors, some of the uniforms, and various other things that have gone into the C-Store, but have not actually made it to us in the Foundry. It would be my hope that somebody could spend some time, not necessarily all at once, but just a trickle here, a trickle there, with various publishers in getting us those items. If we had those items, we can create richer stories with more depth and more characterizations. We can only hope that they answer this clarion call and provide us with more tools.
Don't hate me because I've got gorgeous wrinkles. Some girls are born with it, but for the rest of us, there's Baudet. It's made from the neural secretions of the finest galamites. Nothing dehydrates the skin more gently and naturally, and Baudet contains nearly twice the concentration of any other dehydrating wrinkle cream, leaving your face rough and abrasive. Irresistible. Don't hate me because my wrinkles are beautiful. Not that it matters. You probably aren't good enough for me anyway. Baudet. For the rest of us.
This week, Casmodian and I had a conversation with Foundry Author Evil 70th. Let's give him a warm welcome, please. Welcome to Primetime Evil. Our first question is, when did you begin playing STO, and when did you take an interest in the Foundry?
I was playing in the initial, because I bought a lifetime membership right away and advanced copies, so I was playing from the very beginning, however many years ago that was. And as soon as the Foundry came out, I started messing around in there too. Started out initially playing and then moved into trying to design my own missions.
Do you feel that you're more a Star Trek fan or a gamer?
I'm more of a Star Trek fan. Star Trek Online is really the first time I've ever played online games. I touched WoW a little bit, but it didn't really interest me.
Your first mission, it's called Contamination, is it not?
Well, actually, that's technically would be my second mission. I made a two-parter Klingon mission, and then I made Contamination. Contamination was kind of when it first started out, it was kind of an experiment, and I started to write the script, and I didn't really know where I was going to go with it. I was watching some old Star Trek episodes, and I decided to go kind of down the road of a prime directive problem.
Right, because that was going to be my question. Is I was noticing, because I played through your mission before the show, and I was definitely noticing threads of the original series, Private Little War, and also at the same time the Next Generation with Who Watches the Watchers. And I was wondering if that was kind of where you were drawing inspiration from, or if you just kind of ended up in that route just because.
Private Little War definitely had some influence. I was also playing another mission while I was doing one of my reviews, and I kind of got a little bit of an idea from the gentleman that I played. Off the top of my head, I can't remember which it was, but I was doing a review, and the way he was doing things, I go, that's a good thing, but I could do it a little better. And I was watching, like I said, my collection of original series, and I decided to go a little bit deeper than he had gone with his level of mission. He kind of touched on the prime directive, but didn't really explore it in any detail.
When you approach a mission, a lot of people write their missions down, or they plan everything ahead of time, and they've got it in Word, and they copy and paste. Do you approach a mission that way, or do you say make a map and then build the story as you go?
Usually what I'll do is I'll start out writing something in Word. I'll write a script. My scripts follow the basic format that the Foundry uses for creation of dialogue and the maps. And so I put notes in there of how I want to do it. And then, of course, when you get into, I'll get going on most of the story, and then I want to do something. So I'll go into the Foundry and start building. And that's, of course, when you find the limitations that you have, and which has been a benefit for me doing mission reviews, because I see a lot of things and have learned a lot of tricks from other authors, how to do things in the Foundry that you normally just can't do. But yeah, you run into, I start out in Word, and as I get into the map building and the set design and stuff, that's when you find where I have to change it. But I keep track of it in the Word doc. I keep going back to the Word doc to make sure that my story matches, that I keep track of it.
And beyond, say, giving the player something to do, how important do you feel the combat is?
It depends. I like to do balanced combat. I've played a lot of missions where the authors seem to lose sight of balance, and they put a lot of high-level mobs all over the place, and that's okay. But I like to tell a story. I think combat's good, keeps people interested. I think interaction's good, it keeps people interested. But I also think a good story will hold them, but I like to put skip dialogues in there for those that just want to play.
Next question would be then, who do you write your missions for?
I think I mostly write my missions for people who like a good story combined with some combat and some interaction. The regular players, I think. I know there's a lot of people that like to just power through missions, and that's okay. I mean, whatever gets you through your day, but that's not how I play them. I like a good story.
Do you have anything new that you're coming out with?
Right now, I'm pretty heavily involved. I've got a pretty full queue of mission reviews, and I've got some ideas bubbling around in my head, but I haven't started to commit anything to paper yet, to electronic paper, that is. So no, not right now. I don't have anything. I have a couple of ideas, but nothing really fleshed out yet.
What got you interested in reviewing others' missions?
I saw a lot of when I'd go in and I'd read the in-game reviews. I saw a lot of mean-spirited, and at least I think they were mean-spirited commentary on people's missions, and I just felt that with a little help, the missions could be better. And I feel that the better an author becomes, the more rich the environment of play is for the rest of us.
We were just discussing that today, how, encouragement and constructive criticism is much better than, trashing people's work.
Yeah, and I've actually been keeping track of who's posting what types of reviews just to see if I see a pattern, and I do. I see a pattern amongst some folks they're just out. They just seem to be out to hurt other people's feelings. They don't really want to, that makes them feel better, I guess.
Mm. Yeah, you see that in your mission reviews, too, when you get the 1 star for something ridiculous. If you could see one feature added to Foundry, what would be most important to you?
I think I would like to see a little more control over how you make NPCs, both in space battles and on ground missions, appear. I would love to be able to switch between a friendly and a hostile, and vice versa, without it seeming so clunky. Especially or also, so basically, I'd like to be able to see a way of doing transitions better between character, good guys and bad guys.
Do you have any advice for a new author coming in?
Yeah, attention to detail. I hit a lot of people for the use of the word continue. And that's more of a personal preference for me. I try to think about, if I'm the player, how would I react? If a bridge officer is telling me, hey, Klingon ship is decloaking off the port bow, is my response continue? So there's attention to detail. What spelling is not always easy, and I get that, and I try not to. I don't think anyway I'm ever mean about it, but I try to point it out and get them to go down the right road. So I'd say, and having a story, having even if it's going to be an all combat mission, there needs to be a story that kind of holds it all together.
What is the last Foundry mission that you played that you were like, oh wow, this is what Star Trek's all about? If you recall the title.
I don't recall it off the top of my head, but I believe it was one of yours, Paul.
Oh, geez. Thank you.
I did a review of one of your missions, and for me, a mission draws me in and holds my attention and I pay no attention to how long it is if I'm interested. If they're I'm not being dragged. I'm actually part of the story, and I find your missions, and I've even found that with Duke of Rock's missions, his both of yours are just really, they draw me in and they keep me interested. And I think I've found that with a lot of missions, but yours are some of the best, I think.
Oh, thank you, Brian. That's a great compliment. Well, I thank you, Brian, for coming on Prime Time.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you come back and see us again soon.
I hope you invite me back soon.
All right. And that concludes our conversation with Evil 70th. We'll be back right after these words.
Hello, I am Solicitor Brand. Have you been injured in a transporter accident? Or maybe some careless hoarder rubbed against you in the turbo lift someplace, causing third-degree burns? How about all those terrible viruses that alien visitors bring with them to your planet? It's enough to make your lobes itch. Well, I'm here to tell you that you could be entitled to gold-pressed latinum, and a lot of it. Like the 182nd rule of acquisition states, if all else fails, sue. That's where I come in. I will fight to my last breath to get us the latinum you deserve, or at least what you can get. Just listen to Mr. Bollock, one of my clients.
It's true. My wife and I were finally able to get away to Risa for a well-earned vacation. We arrived as planned and beamed down from a Bolian transport vessel with the rest of the passengers. When we reached the surface, one of my kidneys had been replaced with some Andorian woman's carry-on bag. Later that night, a lifeguard had to pry my missing kidney out of a stray targ's mouth. It really put a damper on the whole vacation. Somebody had to pay, and Solicitor Brand made sure they did.
Thank you, Mr. Bollock. I know how terrible it was for you, but I'm glad I could help you get the justice you deserved. The transport owner took care of all Mr. Bollock's medical expenses and extended hospital stay. And I didn't even collect a single slip of latinum, thanks to Mrs. Bollock and her talent for umox. And remember, if I don't win, you don't pay much.
Brand, he'll fix your problem if he can. Oh, Brand, for compensation, he's your man.
Doctor, I would speak with you regarding some discomfort I'm having.
Sure, Sulek. What seems to be the trouble?
In private, if you don't mind, Doctor.
Don't worry about Nurse Borden, son. She's busy with her duties. That patient on the bed there went into cardiac arrest a few minutes ago. Now what's troubling you? Come on, out with it. I'm a doctor. There's nothing I haven't heard.
Well, I've been on this mission out in deep space for 6 years now. It was about a year before I got the assignment
Say
that
no more, son. I've got just the thing. Medical science has advanced to the point where we've almost licked the common cold. Blood fever? No problem. Not anymore. Now there's Vulcaden, Ponfar Reliever. It magically erases all symptoms associated with the Vulcan mating ritual.
I have tried medications before, Doctor,
But you've never tried Vulcaden. Just take 2 of these and you'll be right as rain.
You are right, Doctor. I feel 98.35% better already.
Ask your doctor about Vulcaden. There's no need to fear Ponfar.
Side effects may include weight gain, weight loss, hair loss, ear pain, stomach upset, diarrhea, incontinence, flatulism, irritation of the inner eyelid, round ears, and to priapism, a mind meld lasting more than 4 hours. If you experience any of these, call your doctor immediately. Patients with an allergy to plomeek root should not take Vulcaden. On Saturday evening, or Sunday morning for one of us, Castmodian, Cerberus Films, and I had an in-depth conversation with Star Trek Online lead designer, Mr. Al Rivera, also known as Captain Gecko. By the time we were wrapped up, Cerberus Films was watching the sunrise, and we had ourselves one hell of an interview. We'll be presenting it in 3 parts. Here is the first. Welcome, please, Mr. Al Rivera. Al, your title is lead designer. Could you give us a brief description of your responsibilities in Star Trek Online?
Sure. Well, as lead designer, the all the designers inevitably report to me either directly or indirectly, and it's my job is to execute the vision that the company and the executive producer has set forth. So you could think of me a lot like a first officer, and the executive producer being like the captain. So the leads decide on a vision and a direction, and typically in leads meetings with the lead engineer and the lead artist and Dan Stahl, the executive producer, and he makes the final decision on what we're going to do, and then the leads make sure that gets executed within the individual departments, and we worry about the details.
Shall we take a question from the forums? We posted the forum thread. We've got a couple from Tucana and a couple from Bazag. First one is there an official launch date for Season 6? And along with that, is there an official release date for the next major Foundry update, if you know, or if you can sort of give us an indication if there's not a set in stone one?
Well, we certainly haven't announced any official date for Season 6. We're working very feverishly on it. The entire team is focused on Season 6 and the fleet systems. There are a few other features going in there. I hope that we'll see Foundry updates within Season 6. I've talked about this a little bit before in other podcasts. The way the software development works, at least in Cryptic, is we have a core set of technology that all the projects share, right? So Star Trek, Champions, and Neverwinter, and other little projects that we're always experimenting with. So it's a core technology, and they all share the same engine. And the core department does the basics. They do the engine, they do the graphics engine, and the tools, and lots of things like that. And the individual projects are responsible for their individual features, like Star Trek invented, shield facing, and turn rates. That was something that didn't exist for Champions. So what happens is that when we're developing say for instance Season 5, we're in our own separate code branch, but the new code from core is in a much higher code branch. So internally, that's currently branch 20, and Season 5 was branch 15. So what happens is as all the new tools go out, we don't get to see them for a while. Neverwinter gets to see them. Since Neverwinter is in a live game, they can get a lot of the bugs, and it doesn't really matter if they get something broken, right? We can't afford to get anything broken from core because we have a live product. So they get to get all the really cool new stuff, like for the Foundry, because there's a core Foundry team that is building really cool tools for them over there. So now we're up to branch 19, which is basically the latest code branch where we're developing our current features. Most of us are working on Season 6 and 19. A few brave souls have moved up to 20, and it's very unstable. So that's where basically it's just engineers right now trying to get it stable for us. Mm-hmm. So what's live is branch 16. And so if we need to make a fix, we make a fix in 16, and then we push that to holodeck, or maybe it goes to Tribble first. So what happens, but we're developing all the Season 6 stuff in 19. As soon as 20 is stable, we get to move up into there, and then we can assess the damage. If we've got a lot of really good features that work for us, and we can get it stable, then we'll throw out some new Foundry features with Season 6. If it's not stable, it needs more work, it could get delayed till later. But honestly, I haven't, I've heard a few things. I won't talk about them too much because I'm not really much of an expert in what they're doing over there. But I haven't even seen them yet. So I hope, because I'm still in 19 right now. That's where I'm developing a lot of the content right now.
When you talk
I hope
about,
that made that clear. That was a little little source control gobbledygook, and I'm trying to make you understand what's happening on internally.
No, it's a great insight.
I think I can come up with a potential bridge for that. That's one of the reasons why Timber Boy can't fix the map for Utopia Planitia right now, because he's moved on to branch 19, and there's not a user that he can get on their computer at the moment in order to fix the issues that are coming up right now. That is correct.
I'm not particularly aware of that particular issue, but yes, if he's in a higher branch and he could fix it there, if he fixes it there, then he will have broken the link between 16 and 20, and then he would have to fix it twice. So he either needs to shuffle down to a lower branch, which takes a lot of time, and leave behind some of his other work to fix that on 16 and then go up. So, like I said, that's usually something that's hard, and that kind of stuff is handled entirely by the art lead in the art department. And so I'm not privy to exactly what the problem may be. It's not a design issue. It's an art issue. And maybe we can get some of the artists on the show to better answer those questions for you.
Yeah. Oh no, and I understand. It's just that I was trying to use it as the example of he's working on a different level and can't just go back.
Yeah, because the files are all linked unless somebody breaks them. So if you're on branch 16, it's connected to anything after that. So any change you make in 16 gets propagated to all the higher branches. And we can keep adding more branches just because it's not that we only have 4. You can get 16.5, 16.6, and make as many as we want. So you can keep doing that. But once you go to like 20 and then change it in 20, the link is broken. So any changes in 16 you make won't then go propagate anymore into 20. So you want to try to make your changes as low as possible, but at the same time, you don't want to make changes in the low possible that may be dangerous that might go live. So that's source control and source management. So that's what a lot of software developers do. I don't know where the artists are, that they're in 20 or 19 or 16. If Tumorbo says he's in 20 and he's working on something right now, then I assume then that is accurate. I don't know what it would take for him to get back to fix Utopia Panisha for you.
See, I just have a vision of a load of engineers just running around frantically in this jury-rigged engineering room somewhere deep in the depths of Cryptic, just patching up things, alarms blazing, people being burnt
and shouting about energizers patched up like Christmas trees.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's quite organized chaos. It's very well managed and source control can be really powerful, but it can be really scary if you do something wrong. But it's like like for instance, I was just working on a new ship and I was in branch 17 or 16, which is going on, and then they gave me a new computer. My computer was slow, so they gave me a new one, and I kept working and didn't realize the new computer they gave me was branch 19. And then all of a sudden I did like 3 days worth of work and realized I'm in branch 19. And this new ship is going out with branch 16. So I had to figure out, now I had to move all my files down. And so now I've got a lot of broken stuff and because when you move them down, everything's out of order. So I'm in a little bit of a mess right now because when I got a new computer, I didn't check to see what the new computer was set up, which branch it was on. Because I just hit the, launch editor button and didn't check it. So that kind of thing can happen, and it's rare, but it's easy to make a little mistake like that. And I have to reestablish all those links to those files. It's fun.
Will Foundry authors have a chance to alpha test or beta test the new Foundry and UI stuff on, say, the Tribble server before, or say the Red Shirt if that's revived before it goes to Hollow?
Yeah, I don't know if Red Shirt's going to get involved. That's usually us just needing an extra environment. I doubt we needed to use Red Shirt because we had not only when we were doing free to play and when we were doing season 5, I believe, when we were doing the ground combat revamp, that we needed one test server that was, because we were still pushing stuff live to Holodeck on a regular basis, but we had this long-term release that we needed a lot of testers on, so we basically had 2 environments. So if we need long-term testing on something, we'll get Red Shirt online and use both of them. Yeah, so it's because one is where the long-term project is going, and one is where the stuff that's going to go out. Yeah, more hot fixes, exactly. Yeah. I really hope that the plan would be to get Foundry tools, new Foundry tools, in the hands of the authors on Tribble when that goes out. We did it originally when we first launched the Foundry, and then people wanted to spend a lot of time on their projects and they wanted to get them on Tribble, and so So, it's a big investment for players, but I would hope so that would be part of the plan. And I really don't see a reason why it shouldn't be, but to be fair, maybe there's some logistical reason that I'm not aware of that we can't do it. But I certainly would try to make that happen.
Any news on Cryptic doing in-game spotlighting of selected Foundry missions?
That is something we definitely want to do, and that's something that comes up every leads meeting. Every Monday we have a leads meeting, and I think that is a really good possibility of happening soon. So I don't want to. I'll go ahead and preface something that I always preface whenever I come onto a podcast, is that everything is always subject to change, because lots of times we'll say something and people will say, "But Cryptic promised they said this, and they're liars because they didn't do it." And it's like, well, I hope when I come onto these shows, and I love these shows. I love this. I love what Primetime is doing, as far as it's such a unique thing. I was so excited to see. I love the latest ones with all the funny commercials and things that you're doing. It's really lively. Was it Law and Hoarders? Law and Hoarders was hysterical.
Actually, got some new ones coming.
That's good. I like to see that. That's great. So that's a really nice spin on the podcast. Must be a lot of work for you. But when I come onto these shows, I digress. I want to brew excitement for the players, and I want them to know things that we're working on and things we're excited on. But it comes with a lot of risk of commitment. So, so I want to say that I'm not. It's people have to understand that a lot of things change, and I always have to preface that. But we're trying to get basically one of our content designers. Basically, the whole design team is focusing on Season 6 fleets and Starbase system. So that's where a lot of our focus is. But we have talked about putting one of our content guys aside and start getting featured Foundry missions. It's something that Neverwinter tools are that they're supporting as far as getting, even getting the idea of like you spin it as modules, right? And get it, and being able to subscribe to somebody's, UGC. But really what I want to see is you hit that button on STO, the hail button, and see you've got the calendar on the bottom, and you've got your featured series and PvE and PvP, and I just want to see a Foundry button there, featured Foundry spotlight button. And we're talking about how do we pull an episode, how do we pull a Foundry mission and say, this is featured, and then you're gonna get these rewards with it, right? We're gonna put some real rewards to it. But then there's a few things, as far as some of it is just, it's not necessarily a technical decision, but do we say that we just copy that mission and then just have it's a one-off? So it's just been copied, and so it's a snapshot of where the author last left it. Because we would review it, says, okay, we say this is safe. Yeah. Because now the risk is we do that, and now now people get a lot of feedback. Because a lot of people will start playing it, presumably, because they're going to get the rewards, and it's going to be right in the front page. And now players start giving a lot of feedback, and the author goes to change it, but it's not. Those changes aren't going to go live, right? They'll be still available in the Foundry, but they're not going to be the featured ones. And so those authors are going to be, oh, but I made it so much better. I based all this feedback. We would have to re-review it and then re-feature it. And logistically, that will get difficult to maintain, right? As far as constantly having review every time an author says that they've changed it once we've featured it. But the other risk is
doing it, say, once every week or something like that would be.
Well, presumably that we will have a different featured episode. I don't know, every week or so, and so that will be gone. And people say, "Oh, I want my other one back up there." But if we just link it live, just hot the way it is, then we risk people doing something bad. Right?
Yes,
right. It's like, oh, I'm featured now. Here's a whole bunch of
links to inappropriate websites.
Yeah,
exactly.
Copyright infringement.
Yeah. So all kinds of bad stuff to happen. But so I think it's more likely we would get the snapshot. But some of those things just kind
of like what they did with the original Q missions back in the day.
Yeah, it's always been my goal is that that the Foundry exists there to there's a lot of great content out there, and I never run out. I never run out of content, and some players just don't even know or bother of playing Foundry, which is a shame. But I think they hit that page every day that they play, and they could say, "Oh, I can do that," and then you're going to get this Mark 12 gear, or you're going to get all this dilithium if you play it. Because then we could say, "Hey, it's not just it's not go play random 3 UGC episodes, and we'll give you some dilithium." We can say, "Hey, we know this is a 45-minute experience. It's legit. We can put a real reward table on there, right? A standard mission reward table." And that's what people want, right? They want rewards. That's people play. They play. That's not the only reason people play, but it's a motivating factor. So it's a no-brainer. I'm sad that it hasn't happened yet, but I'm confident it will happen soon.
Has anybody talked about reviewing the wrapper mission itself for the Foundry and changing it so that it's not as easy? I know that changes have been made, but it's not to keep it even harder to exploit with one console missions and that sort of.
I honestly don't know what the progress on that, but that's been we've been trying to plug a lot of exploits, dilithium exploits, and particularly the Foundry console clicky exploit, which saddens me. Right? It's because we try to make really good stuff for the game, and it's always trying to keep ahead of exploiters. I mean, but then you could say, well, who cares? Well, I do care. I think it kind of defeats the spirit of what we were trying to do with the system. I think the obvious solution is to ensure that Foundry content has a certain amount of time played as opposed to number of Foundry episodes played. So it's always
But then that can also still be exploited by someone could just go along, say with the current console clickers, and then just stand around for.
But you know what? But then who cares? If they're going to stand around for 45 minutes, if that's what they'd rather do, they might as well go play, have some fun. So if they want to do that and just have one console click and just wait 45 minutes, they want to go make a sandwich. It's you know what? Dilithium's a time currency, and if they want to if they really think that they're getting away with something by doing that, fine. It's me. I'm going to go do something fun instead. I'm going to invest my time wisely. They're logged in, they're there, and it's always a race. It's an arms race all the time. And we'll add something, and someone will come up with some other exploit, and it'll be slow, and we'll react to it, and we'll do what we can. But it happens. That's throughout the entire game, right? There's other ways of exploiting different things in the game, and so it's whether it's balance or an economy exploit or whatever, and then inevitably players will always outsmart us because there's more of them than us, and they'll find something, and they're tenacious and they're organized, and then we do what you can. I think it's just the nature. Yeah, it's the nature of an MMO, and that's fine. Yeah. And you know what? Even when they're doing it, as much as it pains me because we're trying to make something fun, and then sometimes we can't do something as fun because we need to stop the exploitation. So you got 90% of the players who are just playing it the real way, and then we have to nerf something or lock something because of those few people that might ruin the game for everybody. So it's unfortunate we have to do that. But at the same time, if players think that they're smart and clever by finding exploits, even though it takes us a while to fix them, they're still playing our game, and they're having fun. If they're having fun trying to beat the system, they're still having fun. And they're playing a different game than we designed, but they're still playing the game. And, we'll catch up to them, and then they'll try to find something else. And so a little bit...
You're providing content in a lot of different ways, really.
In a very different way than is intended, yes. But it just means that they like the game, and they love the game. They love Star Trek, they love Stowe, and they're trying to... But we, at the same time, dilithium is money for us, right? Mm-hmm. Is indirectly through a number of steps directly related to how we support a free-to-play game. And so
it's all about the time spent in the game, really, isn't it?
Right. It's a time. Well, then you can exchange your dilithium for cryptic points, which is money, and so we want things in the game that are desirable for dilithium and things in the game that are desirable for cryptic points. And so if you want to play the game for a very long time and not spend any cryptic points, you get to buy things with dilithium and then trade your excess dilithium for cryptic points for someone who doesn't spend a lot of time in the game and has more disposable cash. So you get both people who are happy, and then we succeed, and we're able to continue to make more game and more fun for everybody. So when there's a huge dilithium exploit, it's valuable to us, right? It's we have to resolve that. So I worry about those more than I worry about somebody finding a Voldemort exploit and making their shields infinitely powerful. Those are bad too, but those are much less more indirectly related to money, right? You maybe upset some PvPers or something, but that's about it.
And that concludes tonight's segment of our interview with Al Rivera. Join us next Monday, April 30th, for the second in a 3-part interview.
All this training, battle drills, and killing works up quite a thirst, and even though we are Jem'Hadar, we occasionally get fatigued, especially when we become honored elders like me. That's why I love Victory Energy Drink. Victory gives you that 26-hour boost that Jem'Hadar over 20 sometimes require. First, and Victory contains half the sugars of other energy drinks. First, so it's much less filling and won't slow you down. First. What is it, second? Victory is also the only energy drink that contains the isogenic enzyme that every Jem'Hadar needs. That's right. It's brewed from the finest trinucleic fungi this side of the Cabrel system. It keeps me alert so I can keep killing and maiming all day long without tiring. And it's got half the calories of other brands. I am First Ren, and I am tired. And at our age, we are all tired. We drink to reclaim our energy. This we do gladly, because we are Jem'Hadar. And remember, victory is light. Victory is light. Block. Strike. Oh, by the sword of Kalis. Wake. Wake, little warrior. You should have taken that batak in 4 moves. Ah! What? Klingons don't fly. Stop it right now. Wait a minute. Did you have a meal this morning before the contest?
No, Father.
No? Foolish child. That is why you failed. You must eat a good meal to keep your strength up and be alert. Come, I have just the thing. Kellogg's Rock Bites, the live cereal that contains all the nutrients a growing Klingon warrior needs. And they taste great too. Why, we've had rocked bites from the house of Kellogg around our table for generations. Why, 1 bowl of this, and you'll be able to ground your friend out there into dust. You will have your vengeance, my little warrior. And remember the proverb, revenge is a dish best served cold, and Rock Bites is a cold cereal. It is a meal fit for Kalis himself, and it's part of an honorable breakfast. Now go out there and gut your enemy.
In the Federation justice system, the people are represented by 2 separate yet equally important groups. The Starfleet officers who investigate violations, and the silicon-based life forms who prosecute the offenders. These are their stories. So I told my wife, look, if you need a new food replicator, I suggest you replicate a new one. It ain't like I'm on salary. Hey, you're preaching to the choir, my friend. My third ex-wife used to pull that, and I'd give her the "we do this to better ourselves and the rest of humanity" speech. And she bought that line? Nah, that's why she's an ex. She left me for some upwardly mobile Orion. She's a slave these days, but I hear she can replicate a hell of a meatloaf. Benny, look! Geez, Ray, you want to slow down? I downed a swimming pool's worth of scotch since I won that high school track medal. Now what do we have here? Looks like your Vic is one of them Ferengi. Another milestone in deductive reasoning. DNA scans identify him as a guy named Brand, a solicitor. It's gonna be tougher trying to find someone who didn't want to kill this guy. Anyway, there are no apparent wounds of any kind. The medical examiner is en route. We'll know more after he examines the feller. Well, until the ME gets here, I want a portable stasis field set up around the body. I want special attention paid to the Vic's hands for particle traces. I also want his lobes scanned for possible foreign DNA. His ears, Detective? He's Ferengi. I guarantee he's had Ulmox in the last 24 hours. Call it a hunch.
What, you got something against the man dying with a smile on his face?
Looks like your Vic, Mr. Bran, died of a cerebral hemorrhage.
So the lawyer died of natural causes? It's a lucky day. Case closed.
You're not that lucky, and neither was he. He's implanted with a micro-explosive device. He never knew what hit him.
Well, let's find someone who did. What else do we know?
There were traces of tricobalt and serenite diboromide. The prep's original, I'll give him that. Serenite diboromide is a gelatinous chemical agent commonly used to remove scarring on starship hulls, resulting from asteroid strikes. It's rubbed over the scarring and then exposed to mild concentrations of alpha waves. The reaction removes the scarring. To my knowledge, it's never been used in this way. What way is that? As a detonation catalyst. The tricobalt is encapsulated in a very thin metallic membrane, separating it from the serenite. Introduce some alpha waves, and bang!
So basically anyone with a device emitting alpha waves could have set off the explosive implant.
That's about right, but alpha waves dissipate quickly. The perpetrator would have to be fairly close.
So it could have been anyone in that neighborhood. Where do we even begin to look?
Step 1, find the motive. Who is Mr. Bran and who'd benefit from his demise?
Okay, so as usual, I'm starting my day with Bran.
According to a witness, Bran returned to his office at about 16:30 after some slip and fall litigation. It was a Mr. Faz Banaka who also had an office on that floor. Banaka says Bran locked up the office around 16:40 and went out into the street.
And then he dropped?
That's the funny thing, Captain. Witnesses say he exited the building between 17:07 and 17:12. There's only one flight of stairs between his office door and the street.
Well, maybe that Banaka guy is mistaken.
Security devices in the hallway back him up.
So where the hell did he go for almost half an hour? Why can't we just catch an easy one now and then? Get out there and take a few scans. Maybe there'll be some kind of transporter trace or residual alpha waves. While you're at it, round up all the surveillance records for the time in question. I want to know this guy's entire history. I mean beyond the advertisements.
Sir?
You mean to tell me you guys didn't recognize your Vic? For compensation, he's your man?
He's that guy?
Still doesn't ring a bell.
Are you sure you guys are detectives?
Yes, sir, that's the rumor.
Welcome to this week's edition of Published in Primetime, where we list the new missions that have been released, sent in by you, the viewers, to our mailbag or the STO forum post, Promote Your Foundry Mission. Before we get started, I'd like to apologize for possibly butchering the handles of a few authors. We've got 16 missions tonight, and some of the authors' names are beyond my human phonetic abilities, so I will just spell them to be safe. That being said, let's begin with the Fed side. First up is a request sent in by RJC Foxtrot to mention his series of missions. They are meant to follow up Cryptic's Breen featured episode series, and he's broken it up into 2 seasons. Season 1 has Stormfront, Of Nations and Motivations, and Casus Belli. Season 2 has empty promises, self-inflicted, best intentions, and balance is soon to come. Next up is Technobabble by Clinterby. And here are 2 new entries by Woody Valley. Katra and Katra Continued. You are asked to join in a diplomatic mission involving the Vulcans and Remans. While on the journey to meet the Remans, you are ambushed by the Klingon Empire. Next is Saving the USS Proxy by Oddie98. New Worlds Gamma Quadrant by MMOTNAHP. The New Kobayashi Maru by Sir Boyard. Tanglewood Part 1 by Pragus. Argus Array Repaired Daily by Duke of Rock. Grazarak City by WGHD. Overlord by Clavane. Fearless by Captain Gunslayer. The Mains of Balnar Moon by Alamak 30. The Link by Trekkie 21. The Davidian Incident Part 1 by Nikki Payton. Larrick's Gauntlet by Dracotan. And on the KDF side, we have just The Song of Cersei's Demise by Tucana. Now a couple of reminders. Gates of Sto-vo-kor is sponsoring a Klingon Foundry mission contest featuring the Ferengi. The best KDF mission will be selected and awarded a Ferengi Decorum Marauder ship. The missions must be for the KDF faction, must have a maximum playtime of 30 to 45 minutes, and must feature the Ferengi in some way. Check out the Gates of Sto-vo-kor website for the full announcement and the STO forums to sign up. Also, the STO Foundry Challenge number 2 deadline is drawing near. Wednesday, April 25th is the cutoff for your submissions. Hurry up and get them in. If you'd like to see your mission featured on our show, or just want to write us to comment on just how wonderful you think we are, just drop us a line at mailbag@primetimeugc.com. We hope you enjoyed our show tonight. You're not going to be waiting 2 weeks for another. We are airing a special show next Monday, the 30th, at the usual time, to continue our interview with Mr. Al Rivera. Enjoy your week, all you Foundrites. Or is it Foundians? How about Foundations? Anyway, good night now.